All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Mainly Hoops podcast. If you've been enjoying our content, please make sure to like and subscribe. We appreciate all your support. Diving into Michigan State and their tournament run chances, ceiling, floor, kind of their path on getting to, maybe a potential Final Four. I think quite a bit of people actually like them in the Final Four this year. Cody, I'm going to kick things off with you. How do you view this Michigan State team and their potential run in the tournament?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest, I was kind of looking for a reason to not put them in my Elite Eight or Final Four, but it's kind of hard not to with I think the path that they got. It's not a generous path by any means. Like, they are potentially going to have to meet UConn in the Sweet 16, which is a tough matchup, especially for Michigan State's bigs having to chase Alex Caravan off screens. I mean, that's not going to be a fun time for them if they're able to match up with them. But I think the first weekend, it's not a cakewalk, but I do think they got one of the more generous 6-11 matchups out of the 3 seeds here. So I don't really view their floor as being any time before the Sweet 16 in that matchup. And, I do think there's a real chance that they're not going to end up meeting UConn in the Sweet 16. Maybe they get UCLA, a team that they split with during the season. They beat them by 1 million at home, and then they ended up losing to them in the Big Ten tournament. But and to be honest, this isn't a Michigan State team. I guess over the last, it's just the last 3 games, they haven't really played their best basketball. Rutgers hung around with them for a while. The Michigan effort wasn't bad by any means, but Michigan was able to put up 90 on the Spartans, and then obviously they lost to UCLA. UCLA put up 88 against them and made a ton of shots. So, but I do think they can still beat UCLA in the Sweet 16. Absolutely, they would be the favorite in that game. And then looking down the line, you look at the Elite Eight. If Duke's not healthy, if Duke doesn't have Caleb Foster back, and maybe even potentially Pat Gungba, they're certainly a live dog in that game to get to the Final Four. So I personally would view their ceiling as the Final Four. I don't think they can win a national championship. I don't think the offense is quite good enough, especially in a half-court setting. But this team has a super high floor, as they always do with Tom Izzo. I would view the floor as a Sweet 16 appearance.
Yeah, I think they just have a very favorable path, to be honest. I mean, obviously Michigan State has been a consistently good team all year, but this path does maybe want to pick them in Elite Eight, potentially a Final Four. Marcus, talk about the ceiling, the floor. Do you share the same thoughts as Cody, or did you think?
Yeah, I think similarly. I think Sweet 16 is the floor. I don't really see them going down to Louisville or South Florida. I think the front court's just too dominant. They have too high of a floor defensively. I think the Sweet 16, if it is UCLA, I think they could go down just against a UCLA team that has beaten them already, that has the ability to potentially force some turnovers where Michigan State has struggled this year. Michigan State gives up a fair bit of 3-point attempts, which UCLA we've seen be efficient from behind the arc for the entirety of the season. They're top 20 in percentage. And as well as Donovan Dent's operating right now, I think it's certainly up for consideration that they could lose there. I do, however, think their floor or their ceiling is the national title game, which, you get there. I think you're obviously 50-50 really to win the game, right? And obviously matchups are dependent, but I think this side, based on the 1 seeds that are on this side, I think they have the ability to beat them. If they see Florida in the Final Four, it's not like Florida has the guard play that's really going to overwhelm them or put a ton of pressure on them to force turnovers. They have the front court to kind of bang around with them and limit second chance opportunities. So I think that is an interesting matchup if they get there. I think they're able to hang with Duke as well. So I prefer this side. They're opposite the Michigan Arizona side. I would feel a little bit differently, I think, if they were on that side of the bracket, maybe Final Four being their ceiling. But I think it's very feasible for this team to make a run to the national title game.
Yeah, Sparty will definitely be happy to hear that. And Izzo in March is a thing, and we love to see Izzo in March. So in a way, I hope you're right, Marcus. I kind of see that as well. I think it'd be exciting, and they're definitely due. Their last title, of course, being in 2000. Anything else to add?
I mean, I'll just say I think they would have to just catch a couple breaks throughout the tournament, like not matching up with multiple 1 seeds. I think would be their path to getting to a national title. As like, pretty much every team that's ever won the titles caught a couple breaks. I guess besides last year, it was pretty much all chalk. But I just don't see the offense performing against multiple 1 seeds. That all these 1 seeds are probably the best rim protecting defenses in the entire country, and Michigan State can be viewed as pretty rim and transition reliant. So I don't know if they can do it over time, but they're a feisty underdog regardless, and they're always live.
For sure. Yeah. Marcus, anything to add before we sign off?
No, I'm excited. This Michigan State team is a team that's grown on me, as the second half of the season has gone on.
Yeah, I have to agree. So hopefully we see them make a little run, but we're going to sign off here. As always, thank you for listening to the Mainly Hoops podcast.